And we're back. So, we made it to space. As you can see here, I just cobbled together the first space station that is providing space science to our factory on Nelvis. But the reason I'm recording is just wanted to go over the Nelvis space before I spent the next couple months figuring out all the different planets in the space age expansion. I haven't touched them yet. We're probably going to go to one of them soon, and figured I'd show how I set up the Now V space this time around. This is my second playthrough. Obviously, this time was space age enabled, and yeah. Right here's the starter ore patches: stone, coal, copper, iron was here. There's a little bit left. And from the get-go, I had essentially two goals. One was to set up a 30 science per minute starter base, and that's here. And then I had the intermediate goal of setting up a 60 science per minute base. That's over here, and we'll go through that. Conceptually, I wanted to use, after my last base, I wanted to use less trains and have a more compact design, and obviously make less science, but that's essentially the route we went. So we'll get into it. So this was the starter base. Had two stacks of iron ore and copper ore making plates, and this lasted me up until was it purple science? Purple science was just draining, or was going to drain this iron stack to with all the steel requirements essentially. So at that point I essentially paused and began working on the second base. So initially we had a lab set up right here with red automated, green automated, black, and then blue up here. And I must say, this time around I was using the rate calculator mod, and this fundamentally changes how you go about your business. In my first playthrough, and even like the second stage of my first playthrough, I was consistently, just kind of guessing on the input requirements for any given science or anything for that matter. But better understanding the input and output requirements for any given assembler recipe was step one, but then step two was, being able to do this and just say, oh, this is what I need. So what this mod does is you highlight something, you can see the output of what the selection is, and you can see what the required ingredients are. So this makes quick work of larger scale rate calculations. Obviously I can look at this and be like, okay, well, in a second, that'll give me what I need for this, right? Oh, and I need two because I also need this. So that's, red science, not necessarily required, or green science here, not necessarily required to use this rate calculator. But when I got to 60 science per minute over here, with the, yellow and purple sciences. Phew, this is extremely helpful. So, like I was saying, this was the first 4 sciences taken care of. And yeah, this ran, up until we exhausted pretty much every science of that, combination. So the red, green, black, purple, or black, blue sciences. Scattered throughout in here is a bunch of the, stuff I needed to set up, mainly the 60 science per minute side of the factory. This is just a web of chaos. On this side here you have your transport bell automation down to the red ones here. We're really only sticking with red for now. You can see the splitters and the underground belts here. You can see landfills, and then you got some trains and things like that, solar panels, ammunition, pipes. Here we have all the stuff that uses pipes and gears, kind of thrown in the same spot. Steel supplying all this stuff down here. Circuit supplying all this stuff down here, poles and things like that. So this is where I've been pulling from. It's nonsense. I just put passive provider chests on everything, so now I don't even have to worry about finding it. The bots do. Up here, we're making stone bricks to make walls for the science, but now with the science shut down, pretty much all this resource is going to concrete, refined and standard concrete. Up here we've repurposed the red and green circuits required for blue science for bulk inserters and boxes, different types of boxes here. We got flamethrowers, pumps, robots up in this corner, all jammed together. Somehow have electric motors getting made in some way. Oh, Vulcanus is ready. And then out here we're again repurposing the green and red circuits for efficiency or modules, and then the tier 3 assembly machine. There's our red circuit setup for now, for this side of the factory. Green circuits being provided, and then batteries for accumulators up here. I just overhauled our oil setup. This is the refueling station for all the trains, rocket fuel right here, but I just redid this oil setup to be for the old stuff, but took out the old refining stuff and made this able to accommodate the new stuff as well. Essentially the design here is, I think this is what, 40 refineries, probably overkill. 40 refineries, but it's a it's like the right ratio. You have the ratio is like 20 refineries, 17 light oil to petroleum cracking chemical plants, and then 5 heavy oil to light oil cracking plants, and then duplicated up here. The key thing that I added here is that we're trying to control the cracking processes by the levels of their tanks. So the primary output is petroleum, but if this is the primary output, but if this stuff gets too high, heavy oil and light oil, if it gets too high in these tanks, it'll turn on the cracking processes and feed more petroleum. You also have lube down here, taken away from the heavy oil. And you have rocket fuel stuff, solid fuel stuff, taken away from the light oil. So I think this is relatively well balanced. Like if you take directly from here, um, will stop the cracking processes that are taking it to petroleum, and it'll just go straight to your rocket fuel, and everything from the refinery will go here. If we stop making rocket fuel and this fills up, and we don't have a lot of this, we'll crack it down into petroleum. So that's the thought process. That's it for the oil refining. That's it for the starter base, which is now just essentially we're supplying everything from this base, all the supplies we need to make the new base. I do have the oil drop-offs over here, the refuel over here, and I just kind of started dabbling with nuclear, uranium processing. Wanted to get a few reactor cells for my reactor for my personal power armor, so got those. I'm not doing nuclear power right now, even though it's so easy and so powerful. You just get a ton. Here I'm trying to just set up. I just kind of paste in a quick Covarex operation. I don't have 40 yet. I have 33, so eventually we'll get to start doing further enriching of the uranium. Not sure what I'm going to need it for. Maybe I'm just going to kind of get it moving. I don't know. Probably don't really need this. I just, honestly, it was partially, the main reason was the fission reactor for the power armor and the tech tree. I just wanted to unlock the tech tree. But speaking of power, the main thing I'm powering this whole plant with is, as you can tell, solar cells and accumulators. And I just kind of have them plastered in random places. This is the design I came up with. It's a 100 to 84, 100 solar panels to 84 accumulators is the right ratio to store the amount that you can produce, store the amount that is produced at max during the day, so you have it during the night, essentially. And so this can just be kind of pasted around as necessary, and the bots will take care of the rest. As you can see, right now the factory's not really full bore, but we haven't really had, this is, around 287 megabytes is the max that we hit, and we're definitely capable of more, so solar cells and accumulators, solar panels and accumulators for now on Navi's. Alright, so after we had this set up and we had a little pause in this science production, what I did was set up some boundaries to the area to protect from biters. I went with a simple templatized flamethrower defense. So I just essentially put this all around. Luckily this map had some pretty good choke points, so like this here. Right now I'm still just using crude oil for this, not light oil. I probably could use light oil now that I have that refining set up. But yeah, so choke point there, choke point here, choke point here. Bit of a wonky one here, but it works. One here, a little one here, a little one there, a little one there, a pretty big one here. So that means since setting this up and automating the robots to go repair, I kind of have the logistics network stretched out to all the walls. Haven't really had to mess with biters much at all. I did one clear out with the tank, and That's all she wrote. And now I'm working on essentially, where's this guy? Decreasing pollution with efficiency miners, or efficiency modules in my miners. That way we decrease the pollution cloud, and because we don't have access to artillery quite yet to push everything back to a safe distance. Alright, so yeah, like I said, once I had that set up, put defenses up and then started setting up these mines, because I was pretty much out of my iron patch and copper was running fairly low. So yeah, set up a bunch of copper and iron mines. Yeah, nothing too much to say here about the design. I mean, yeah, fairly basic template here. Looks like this. Just copy paste that on top of all the ore. I have a 4-car pickup here. And yeah, have this rail design with electric power and the logistics network in standard, and that makes sure that we typically stretch out to where the walls are. With that, I made these larger furnace stacks out of electric furnaces with like 2 drop-offs to supply the plate production for the new base, the new 60 science per minute factory. Ended up needing 2 of these, 2 or 1.5 kind of, and barely am using all of the copper. So set up a mine for more stone, and a mine for more coal. So this right here is the 60 cents per minute factory. I kind of just kept it with a compact transporter belt design where everything's, you know, balanced to the rates that it works. Again, rate calculator, hugely beneficial in this area. The other thing that I started to understand better this playthrough is just the item per second limits of the transport belts. So understanding that well, the size of this is customized to what this belt can take away. So if we have max, like if we have the max going out, all these furnaces will be able to put their iron onto the transport belt. Right now, we're not really demanding the whole world, so some of these are idle. Essentially, what I'm getting at is if I do the rate calculation on, I think it's 12, I think this is a stack of 44. Yep, so 12 will supply 15 iron plates per second. Wait. Oh. Wait, what's going on here? 7.5. Am I forgetting something? Okay. Yeah. Right. I set it up so that these two right here, yeah, this one and this one are it's 30. So this outgoing belt right here where they combine, it'll be filled entirely. You can see here that, oops, if you look on the side, the belt speed's 30 items per minute. So the combination of these two the combination of these two, these two, these two, and these two all leads to 30 items per minute on these 4 output belts. Sorry, I got a little lost there. I haven't looked at this in a second. But yeah. So that's how the copper is set up as well. There's a little bit of a balancer here. With how I set it up, this is probably not necessary. Yeah, I don't know why I put a balancer here, but it is what it is. Then we start splitting up to go to different resources, and the way that this is, helpful is that I can. What I ran into a lot with the first edition of my first base in my first playthrough was that I just would set up stuff and then the steel or the iron would never get there. So with this understanding, you can say, okay, look at this branch of the iron here. It goes to these steel furnaces, this gear. It goes to these grenades. It goes to where else? It goes to this little guy, and then these guys here. So if I take the rate calculator and kind of, if I can, highlight just this stuff. It's a little difficult now. But if I highlight just this stuff, like that, I think, right, it shows the ingredients are at 27 iron plates per second, which is close to 30. I could put another thing in there and not use up all of it, but it tells me that I'm close and that I should, probably not add another steel stack to this area, to this branch. Like for instance, I think it's, yeah, this one here, this branch is almost entirely, this just one steel stack, 27.5 steel, or iron, for that steel stack. So, yeah, it's just nice to kind of know that you're not, what your limits are, when you're pushing it, when you're not. So yeah, down in here is the red and green science. You can see this is making roughly 60 science per minute. 60 science per minute. And the inputs are perfect, right? So no need to worry about steel or copper right now. The requirements are fairly low anyway. Black science is here. Have all the stone bricks to get there, have all the grenades to get there, and yeah. On this side we start to get into blue. See, blue's this big stack here, it's at 60 science per minute. You have all the red circuits necessary, have all the sulfur necessary. And engines, yeah, so this one was when this rate calculator really starts to kick in and be helpful. How many engines do we need? 63. Yeah, so we need 60. I made a little more at 63, and this will always have enough engines. We need 90 of these. We have 90 of these red circuits. Super handy. From there we went into purple, which is right here. Purple requires a ton of steel, so that's what this steel over here is for. All the rails that just, oh, right here, rails, they all require quite a bit of steel and iron for these sticks. And stone. We have the electric furnaces in there, we have the modules in here, and they all combine together to get over here. And bada boom, you got your purple science. Yellow science is up top here. We have all the circuit production, green to red to blue. That feeds into their electric motors and flying robot frames. And for batteries, we have our electric motors, steel, and what's the last thing? Yeah, green circuits, all right there. And then low density structures over here requires, again, more steel, more plastic, more copper, and that all outputs, and you get low density structures, blue circuits, and flying robot frames. You got your yellow. These are the labs. I need to put productivity modules in this. I just remind myself, but yeah, kind of this underground belt design where you have 25 of them, which was necessary originally, but with the research bonuses, speed bonuses, I don't think this is probably obviously don't need all of these anymore. But I guess I'm putting productivity modules in, so that'll maybe balance out a little bit. We've been holding, it's a little choppy, but right around 60, 58 science per minute. Take a look at this here. Huh. Oh, yeah, it's averaging out over. Yeah, we shut down a few times, like I said, to work on things. We kind of ran out of science a couple times just because I was trying to think of what to do next. Yeah, so right now you can see we're it's not smooth, but it's pretty close. We'll take it. Okay. So yeah, that's the 60 science per minute base there. I just working with transport belts was a lot of fun. I, in particular, just enjoy the challenges of shoving things close together and then having to get stuff certain places. Like one of my favorite ones is putting the low density science here and then being like, wait, we don't have any copper on this side, so I forget which branch I took, but I think it might be this one here. Oh no, it's this lower one here. So this, split off this one because red science is using barely any. Green science using barely any, so split this one off. Ducked under a bunch of stuff. Came up here between the circuit stuff for blue science, wrapped in up through red circuits and engines, and then came out in the LDS area, and then actually eventually started to use that into my flying robot frame stuff. So just little challenges like that where it's, you have to get creative, like this mess, like what is going on here. Like the goal was to get rails on one side, electric furnaces and productivity modules on the other for purple science. But I also had like green circuits going through here, copper going through here. We had to stop steel from going through here. There's red and coils going through, and it's just a bit wonky. So yeah, we get the rails out by snaking around, going under here. We run these up and combo them into the modules and snake them out here. And it all works, man. that's the fun part. It all works. And it's just cool looking. Yeah. So the last part, right, is the rocket itself to start space age. With the rocket, we set up again more steel, more LDS, more rocket fuel, and more blue chips in this fashion. Nothing too crazy here, just setting up what's required. And then the last part that I'm automating right now is the stuff you need for space. Like here we have the space platform foundations. They're pretty easy, just coils and steel. And then, yeah, so now we are up in space and automating space science. And that's what we're researching right now. Although, yeah, we could be researching some other stuff around minor Factorio. So yeah, that's it for now. I will be back to update the status of the factory once I'm probably through all the planets. That will probably be in a couple months, but we will work through each of those planets, and my goal is to get, see what there is to see with Space Age, pretty much everything. This is this is why I started playing in the first place. The new content for the Space Age just had me so intrigued. So it took me a little bit to. It's been about a year since Space Age came out, so eventually got around to it. Eventually learned the game enough to get here, so yeah. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Peace.